welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters podcast. Today, we're putting on our explorers' hats and heading deep into the Sussex countryside to search for the county's most mystical and magical hidden waterfalls. Yes, you heard that right. Sussex has secret waterfalls, and we're ready to help find them with you. Settle in because you're about to discover hidden wonders you may never have known existed. And that's not all. Get ready for a sound adventure as we take you on a nature escape, where the rush of wild water will help wash your worries away. In this week's Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments, let nature's soundtrack carry you far from the noise of everyday life. But before we jump into our adventures, let's check out the latest news stories making waves in the world of wildlife this week. All that and more is coming up on this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. We're excited to bring you the top wildlife and nature stories that have been happening this week. Our first story is about a rare blue shark that was spotted swimming in the shallow waters of Weymouth Harbour. A 4-foot blue shark was caught on video swimming through the busy shallow waters of Weymouth Harbour in Dorset, surprising local residents. The unusual visit from an open ocean predator has prompted marine biologists to take a closer look at how these species are changing their behaviour in British waters. This is a rare species that normally stays far offshore in deep water. The sighting has prompted marine biologists to question whether rising sea temperatures are altering the habits of these ocean animals along our coast. Local artist Rob Young was on his usual walk along the harbour wall when he spotted the shark's shiny blue shape just below the surface. He quickly took a video as it swam around the fishing boats in Weymouth Harbour, which is normally bustling with people, and Rob said he had never seen anything like this before. I was surprised to see the shark. I'd never seen one this close to the shore before, he told Wildlife Matters. Maybe it was after the pollock under the boats, or just briefly disorientated and acting out its normal behaviours. Experts at the Dorset Wildlife Trust watched the video and confirmed that it was indeed a blue shark. Hayley Roberts, a marine engagement assistant, explained that its long, slim body, pointed snout and wide fins made it quite easy for them to identify. Blue sharks are active predators that usually live in the open ocean and rarely come near the shore. That's what makes this week's sighting so unusual. Blue sharks will often dive as deep as 350 metres to hunt their main prey, which includes small schooling fish and squid. Blue sharks travel in large clockwise routes across the Atlantic. They follow the Gulf Stream from the Caribbean to the UK during the warmer months, and then they head back along the Atlantic North Equatorial Current. Attacks on humans by blue sharks are very rare because they live in deep water and they seldom meet swimmers or surfers. Hayley Roberts told Wildlife Matters that blue sharks, especially females, are found in UK waters from May through to October, but they usually stay far from shore. To see one in a harbour is quite rare, although it does happen from time to time, she said. Marine biologists warn that more deep water sharks are being spotted in shallow British waters, which is part of a broader global trend. And Dorset Wildlife Trust has seen more blue, porbeagle and thresher sharks along the southern coast in recent years. As the water warms and bait fish like pollock and sardines move to new areas, this draws top predators to places like harbours and busy beaches where people don't usually see them. The Weymouth shark likely returned to deeper water soon after its brief visit to the harbour. Still, its appearance is a clear reminder that as a climate change affects our oceans, people may see wild marine animals more often. Our second story this week is a tragic one as the UK faces possible climate driven bird extinction. A new national survey from the RSPB reveals a sharp decline in dotterel numbers, with an 89% drop since 1988 and a 74% drop since the last survey in 2011. In 2025, researchers visited 217 sites but found breeding males at just 22 of those locations, which were all in the Highlands of eastern and northern Scotland. No breeding dotterels were found in England, Wales, or southern Scotland. Scientists warn this could be the first UK bird species to disappear due to climate change. Dotterel numbers are dropping fast and we are watching them vanish right in front of us, said Dr. Leah Kelly, RSPB conservation scientist. She continued, because they need mountain tops to breed, they are especially at risk as climate change changes these delicate habitats. Dotterels rely on high mountain plants, but as temperatures go up, they are pushed even higher and their breeding areas shrink. Overgrazing and a drop in cranefly larvae, their main food, make things much worse. Conservationists say that dotterel's struggle highlights how climate change and biodiversity loss put all of Britain's wildlife at risk. Dr. Nicola Largay, Nature Scott ornithologist, told Wildlife Matters, the dotterel has always been a special sight in Scotland's uplands, but now the evidence shows the species is falling fast. If we lose this unique bird, it will show just how urgent it is to tackle climate change and protect the habitats our wildlife needs. Protected areas are not enough to halt the decline. The survey found that dotterel numbers have fallen just as much inside special protection areas as outside of them. This challenges the idea that these reserves can fully protect species from larger environmental problems. Even in the Cairngorms and other important areas, numbers drop sharply, suggesting that climate change is the main cause and highlighting the limits of local conservation efforts. Surveys in 1988, 1999, and then 2011 showed that dotterels were found in fewer places and showed that their numbers had dropped by 57% over the first 20 years. The 2025 survey shows the problem has worsened with significant losses around mountainous areas. Dotterels were once much more common, but hunting and habitat loss in the 20th century begun their decline, and now climate change is making the situation even more serious. Our third story this week is our Wildlife Matters guide to help keep wildlife safe and hydrated in your garden in the sizzling sunshine that most of us are experiencing right now. When summer gets hot and the sun is strong, many people want to help wildlife by putting out bowls of water or filling bird baths. We do this to help the wildlife, but if we're not careful, it can cause problems rather than help. Water is essential for birds, bees, hedgehogs, and all other animals that visit our gardens. But if we're not careful, the water we provide can become dangerous, especially for small creatures that may not be able to get out of the water. It's not only the water we intentionally put out that can be risky. There are also hidden dangers in the garden where animals might try to drink and get themselves into trouble. Think about garden ponds, swimming pools, and water butts. They're all clear risks. Even a bucket or watering can left standing upright can trap animals, and many creatures simply cannot climb out of their smooth, steep sides. And this summer, social media has been full of stories about dramatic animal rescues and close calls. So we thought now was the time to share Wildlife Matters top tips to keep wildlife safe and hydrated in your garden in this summer heatwave. So how can you keep your garden safe for wildlife while still giving them water? Here are some easy tips to help you protect all the animals that visit your garden. A slope side or simple ramp in a pond can be a lifesaver, giving animals a platform or a way out if they fall in. For smaller ponds or containers, place a sturdy stick or maybe a rock so it sticks above the surface of the water. This helps insects and small mammals to climb out should they fall into the pond or the bird bath. These safe spots give weary wildlife somewhere to rest if they fall in. Always cover or fence off larger water areas such as larger ponds, water butts, paddling pools, swimming pools, and of course jacuzzis when you're not using them. Make sure that the covers are tight and they do not sag in the middle. This will help protect wildlife but will also help keep the water clean. And please don't leave your buckets standing upright as they can fill with rainwater and become dangerous. Always store buckets upside down and lay watering cans on their sides so that animals can get out if they fall in. The rose attachment of your watering can is also perfect for keeping curious visitors out of the filling hole. And by following these easy steps, you can make your garden a safe place where wildlife can drink and thrive safely. If you do try these tips, we would love to hear your stories and see your pictures. Please do share with us and so we can share on our social media. And that has been this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. This week, climate change isn't just a headline. It's the backdrop to every story we've shared. A relentless heat wave is scorching the south with temperatures climbing to over 30 degrees day after day. And people and wildlife are searching for shade and water. The struggle for survival is real and it's happening right now outside our windows. Warmer seas are changing which animals appear along Britain's coasts. As a blue shark made a surprise appearance in Weymouth Harbour, drawn closer by warmer waters. While some species are showing up in new places, others, like the mountain nesting dotterel, are being pushed out of their habitats as food supplies and breeding areas disappear with rising temperatures. These changes are all part of the story of climate change. But for now, set your worries aside, if only for a few minutes, and let yourself relax with a soothing audio sound bath. Coming up next is the Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments. So close your eyes and let the sounds of wild water help you feel connected to nature. really hope you're feeling refreshed after that wild water sound bath. Good, because our main adventure is only just beginning. Join me as we explore Sussex's secret valleys and leafy paths to find the legendary Mungo Waterfall, along with 2 others, as we reveal the hidden waterfalls of Sussex on this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. And today we're heading off for an adventure to find the hidden waterfalls of the 100-acre wood, the mythical woodland of children's stories and home to the character of Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, Piglet, Eeyore, and the rest of the magical crew, which in the real world is known as Ashdown Forest. There's a sense of childhood magic here, glowing in the sunlight, moving through the leaves and murmuring beneath old trees. Raven, my camper van, waits in a car park dotted with puddles. Even during dry spells, the wild spirit of this land remains untamed. It's 5:30 in the morning. Everything is bathed in golden light. Dew coats every blade of grass and leaf as the mist lifts, making every sound and scent stand out. I wander down a rutted path into the hush of the trees, where spring keeps its secrets close. Hazel offers whispers of winter's end, but the bare earth and the tightly curled buds reveal a world poised on the edge of awakening. The lengthening light promises change. Here, the true 500-acre wood sprawls as untamed heathland. This was once a royal hunting forest in Tudor times, and while hunting has thankfully ended, many deer still call it home. The native roe deer population is considered as stable, but the introduced fallow deer herd is growing, and in recent years, muntjac deer have also been spotted in parts of the forest. When I leave the trees, bright yellow gorse covers the hillsides, shining like a treasure chest. The path goes uphill. A cold east wind stings my cheeks, but the sunlight gets stronger as time passes. Hearing a curlew's call makes me smile. Spring has most definitely arrived, and all the wildlife can feel it. You might wonder if there are any spectacular waterfalls in Sussex. It's a fair question, so stay with me. There are surprises ahead. These waterfalls stay hidden in the shadows, away from the busy main paths. Their mystery makes them special and so worthwhile finding. Although this is an audio podcast, you can see pictures on our website and our social media of this magical place. If you try this walk for yourself, I suggest you wear waterproof boots and trousers, as the tracks are muddy and rough. The walk covers around 5 kilometres and could be done in 1 to 2 hours, depending on how long you linger at each spot. Some parts of the walk are moderately difficult, and the waterfalls are hard to find since there are no signs or marked paths. I suggest bringing the Ordnance Survey Explorer Map 135 before you set off on the walk. Our journey begins at Mungo's Waterfall, considered by many the forest's most spectacular. It's only around 1 kilometre from Holly's car park, but don't expect to see signposts to guide your way. To find it, head right from the car park's information boards and walk south-southwest. Following the rough track downhill, vanishing into wild vegetation and scrub. Listen for the distant music of running water as you go. Let the sound lead you to the stream. Follow it until you reach one of 2 waterfalls tumbling into a clear pool below. Many will stay here, but for the best view, take the short, steep scramble down to the water's edge. The view is stunning. The clear water flows over smooth layers of rock shaped by thousands of years of water flow. It looks and feels like you are on the remote western coasts of Wales or maybe Scotland. Above the rocks, a lush tapestry of ferns spread out. Lady fern and lemon-scented fern are the most common, while the triangular fronds of broad buckler fern peek through at me. Mosses and lichens thrive here too. Around the upper edge of the falls, oak, beech and holly trees show off their exposed roots as they grip tight to the constantly eroding banks. But we must move on, as 2 more waterfalls await discovery today. Ashdown Forest hides many such watery treasures, but these 3 are the most magical and mystical, capturing the essence of today's journey. We arrive at Ellison's Pond car park, one of 126 ponds scattered throughout the Ashdown Forest. The star here is the great crested newt, thriving in many ponds rather than isolated pockets. Other pond dwellers include great diving beetle, and I've heard that 46 out of the UK's 57 dragon and damselfly species have been recorded here, which is a very good reason to return later in the year. The Garden of Eden waterfall lies at the end of an unmade track. Best found by following a circular route on all trails or by using GIS, but be warned, there are no signs and it's very easy to lose your way. From the car park, walk between the 2 parts of Ellison's ponds, which look like 2 separate pools, and then turn left. Then it was wading through waist-high gorse, which is a prickly challenge. The flowers release a strong coconut scent, long used in herbal remedies to lift your spirits. Gorse is also used in homeopathy and back flower remedies for emotional balance. Traditionally, its flowers have been used to treat everything from jaundice to scarlet fever, and even served as a flea repellent. After a while, we leave the challenge of the dense gorse behind, and the path winds into grazed grassland. There are no cattle grazing here today, but this meadow used to be flooded in winter to warm the soil and encourage early grass for the livestock. I'm unsure, but the plants that run alongside the muddy track reveal this could be a genuine wetland meadow. Crossing the open meadow, you'll see a clump of trees to the left, and this is known as the Friends Clump. We won't be visiting Friends Clump today, but it's a stand of Scots pines planted in 1825 for Elizabeth, Countess de la Warr, whose family owned much of the land until as recently as 1988. The introduction of non-native pines was unpopular with the locals at the time, and many of them were cut down. The present clump was replanted in 1973 by the Friends of Ashdown Forest as part of the Plant a Tree in 73 campaign, which is a story Chris Skinner recounts on his Countryside podcast, noting that the efforts continued and plant some more in 74. Here, the path bends and climbs steeply, flanked by heather, another sign of the common's rich diversity. Gill streams are common here, cross muddy trails because Ashdown Forest sits nearly 200 metres above sea level, which is high for Sussex, and therefore catches plenty of rain. As the path rises, a bridge appears unexpectedly in this wild landscape. It's known as Nobby's Bridge. Plaque here honours Albert Nobby Clark and Mary Ellen Clark. Beyond the bridge, 2 paths lead to the Garden of Eden waterfall. Whichever route you follow, I chose the Gillside path. You'll soon spot a clearing in the earth bank beside the trail. Once perhaps a cart track, it now leads straight through shallow gill waters. To my right, the Garden of Eden waterfall comes into view. It's not the tallest or indeed the most powerful waterfall, but it's the perfect spot to cool off on a warm day. I'm not sure how this charming waterfall earned its name. Its setting feels more like a heathland cart wash than the Garden of Eden that I had imagined. It lacks the magic and a bit of the mystery of Mungo's waterfall, but I'm really pleased to have found it. And now I'm even more eager to discover the third waterfall, which is rumoured to be the most mystical of them all. You can begin this stage of the adventure in several ways, including starting near Chelwood Vackery on the A22. I parked Raven the camper van at Streeter's Rough and nod to our preference for the wilder side rather than the larger, more accessible Chelwood Gate across the way. The paths wind toward Chelwood Vackery and its gardens hidden behind the trees. The house and formal gardens are private, but the surrounding woodland remains open to the public and it's cared for by the Ashdown Forest conservators. The word vackery comes from the Norman meaning cow, dairy or cattle shelter, and cattle have grazed these meadows since medieval times. Chelwood Vackery was built in 1906 by Sir Stuart Samuel, a Member of Parliament. By 1910, he had created a forest garden with 4 lakes and ponds, each with its own weir and sluice. In 1925, F.J. Nettlefold bought the house and hired landscape designer Gavin Jones, who built a dramatic gorge using limestone boulders that came from Cheddar Gorge. Walking along the woodland edge, I spot shimmering water ahead, a pond, and an infinity pool, both mirroring the soft light of early spring. Nature is reclaiming the garden's artificial edges, and I find the wild, slightly unkept look so inviting. The woodlands are a mix of mostly young, broadleaf trees, with regimented plantation rows standing in stark, artificial lines. In contrast, the untamed areas radiate a natural magic that nourishes both us and the wildlife. Although it's still early spring, the wood remains quiet. I recall seeing only a handful of grey squirrels, wood pigeons, and jackdaws. And with so many dog walkers, most wildlife retreats to the quieter corners of the wood. Approaching the top of the waterfall, I hear the splash and tumble of fast-running water. The water spills over rocks, slipping through a chain of pools before plunging into the valley below. Cheddar Gorge boulders anchor the pool, creating a wild, rugged scene, more Derbyshire or Wales than Somerset. Their untamed presence captivates me. Chelwood Vackery Falls should be a haven for wildlife. On a sunny afternoon, I imagine birds gathering to bathe in the rippling sunlit shallows. Early afternoon isn't the best time for spotting wildlife, but I imagine this magical place coming alive after dusk with badgers, foxes and deer gathering at the pools while bats swoop overhead in search of insects. Now, as the seasons shift to burnt orange bracken and russet leaves, the remnants of autumn mingle with a kaleidoscope of fresh greens as spring has pushed through. The wild daffodils bloom beside magnolia buds, and ransoms, better known as wild garlic, are thriving along the streams and ponds. Rhododendrons, the pink-purple flowers peeking from the undergrowth, don't belong in Sussex. I hope the conservators are working to remove these vigorous and invasive mountain plants. Follow the stream from the Waterfalls pool to the Folly Bridge, which has steps on one side and a slope on the other, both of which are now being reclaimed by nature. Ivy, moss and lichens drape its stones. I peer over the edge of the bridge and you can see the stepping stones, a wonderfully playful way to cross the Millbrook stream. Continue along the path and you'll soon find yourself back at Chelwood House, which is the perfect place for us to end the first part of our journey and our search for Sussex's hidden waterfalls. Join us for part 2 as we remain in the Ashdown Forest, exploring the fictional 100-acre wood and the beloved characters brought to life by A.A. Milne in the centenary year of the wonderful Winnie the Pooh on the next Wildlife Matters main feature. Well, searching for hidden waterfalls isn't as easy as it sounds. Much of the Ashdown Forest welcomes walkers and their dogs. But finding the 3 secret waterfalls we shared today was full of twists and turns and quite a few wrong turns. I had to listen carefully for the sound of distant water running and waterfalls, and hold on to my trusty OS map like a pirate with a treasure chart. But every step was so worth it to discover these sparkling hidden gems deep in the dark woods of Sussex. It was an adventure. And Wildlife Matters will return in 2 weeks when we will be leaping into the storybook world of Winnie the Pooh's 100-acre wood, tracking down the real-life haunts of Pooh, Piglet, Owl and the whole gang in the enchanted heart of Ashdown Forest as Winnie the Pooh celebrates his centenary. So be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. If our adventures have made you smile, then please leave us a review. It really helps other nature and wildlife lovers to find our little wild corner of the podcast world. And as ever, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Stay curious, wild ones. This is Wildlife Matters, signing off.